It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Having a very feel-good breakfast show this morning, live with Espresso from our Sea Point studios. Great having Mark around, but we can't laugh all the time. There are some very serious matters at hand and on the global headlines at the moment. Korea is back on the front page. North Korea, South Korea. We've heard the rhetoric before. It seems to have kicked up a gear at the moment. We've got Jonathan Vincent now joining us, an analyst who can hopefully shed some light for the layperson exactly where we stand. This is a cycle we've been through a couple of times. Is it different now?
No, it's not really different in terms of what's happened before. If we look at what's gone on the Korean Peninsula in the last couple of months, we've seen, as you say, we've seen things step up quite a bit. This started back at the end of last year when North Korea conducted some nuclear tests. At the beginning of this year when it tried to test long-range missile technology. In response to this, the UN imposed some sanctions at the beginning of March. And this is where things really sort of started to kick off. In response to that, North Korea stated it was going to abandon an armistice that it had signed back in 1953 at the end of the Korean War. A few days after this, it's...
there we go.
Thank you.
That's how we do it.
A few days after this, they also stated that they were going to be in a state of war. Which on the surface seems like something that, it sounds quite serious. It seems like, things are really escalating there. But actually, like you say, this is a cycle we've seen before. This is a kind of strategy that North Korea uses. They do it for a number of reasons. First of all, they're doing it at the moment to boost the domestic standing of their new leader, Kim Jong-un. They are also trying to, as well, it's a form of protest against recent joint US-South Korean military drills on the Korean Peninsula. And it's also a way for them to try and force the US and force South Korea to give them concessions and to give them aid in terms of food.
I was going to say, yeah, we've seen the bargaining chip there before where it gives them a bit of latitude on the bargaining table. If it actually gets to the point of there being war, what is likely to happen? And where does South Korea sit at the moment? They're up against a military state. What would happen in the event that war actually did break out?
Well, it's at the moment, we have to, let me just reiterate very clearly, it's not likely at the moment. North Korea wouldn't really want to go to war. Sure, it's a military state, but it's been isolated for so long. Technologically, they're so far behind South Korea.
It's almost a cultural mode than it is where they want to take the country. It's just the way that
they are. It's sort of, if they keep everyone on a permanent kind of war footing, then we've got, the whole population could have united against this one common enemy, which is, the US and South Korea and so on. But, it's really unlikely we're going to see war. I think North Korea knows that if it came to that it would be definitely on the losing side. Yeah.
Well, provided, of course, they can't actually launch a long-range nuclear missile. Where are they in that technology? Is this a lot of hot air, or are they actually on the verge of being able to shoot a rocket from continent to continent?
Well, they're pretty secretive about it, but they like to play their cards pretty close to their chest. But it's pretty commonly accepted that they don't really have the technology to do this. They do have tested long-range missile technology, which hasn't been particularly effective so far. They have conducted nuclear tests, but the technological jump between doing those two things and actually putting a device into a missile and firing at long range, they are many years off that still.
And also avoiding the drones that'll be chasing it
exactly,
on the way there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more of the same, but we need to be aware that this obviously is a political hotbed at the moment.
Yeah, and you see it all over the media, and it gets a lot of news headlines, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's something that's, we've seen cyclical. It's been happening over years and years.
Would South Africa get involved? Should it escalate?
Well, we don't really have any sort of military agreements with either the North or the South. We do have fairly strong trade ties with South Korea, but it's not something that we're likely to see ourselves getting directly involved in. So if, for example, conflict were to break out on the Korean Peninsula, I don't think you'd see a lot of direct effect on South Africa or direct impact on South Africans.
All right, well, that's good news. Thank you for allaying our fears and educating Mark and myself. But it's great to have you here in studio, man. Enjoy. I know you're a chef by trade, so get into the kitchen, man. Get to work. No, thank you so much, Jonathan.
Pleasure, no problem.
That was Jonathan Vincent giving us the lowdown on the conflict that is currently unfolding in Korea at the moment, or on the Korean Peninsula. It sounds like more of the same. Now, we are going to the Seychelles to rub it in yet again. That Leanne had the most amazing trip there, and man, did she discover a whole new way to cook with Caitlin. Let's take a look.